he said yes, and then he said, "Can I do it virtually?" And I said,
"No,
go fuck yourself." Yeah.
I said, "If you can fucking, you're gonna have to. If you want to do it virtually, you're gonna have to come to my house anyway to set this shit up because I'm absolutely not gonna figure out how to Zoom call on my fucking TV."
He was like, "Can we do it virtually?" I was like, "Yeah, I would love to do a really fucking terrible podcast with lag in between every good conversation point."
Yeah.
That
I do a lot of
like
Zoom
a lot
shows.
of fun to me.
Zoom shows are so brutal. The amount of pause you have to do to wait for a punchline, it makes you feel so awkward. And then she slipped on the banana. Ah ha 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 ha! It's like next joke.
Fuck.
And
it's
also,
so
it seems to me that a lot of those people are. It's like when you're in a conference call at work and you're trying to act
I don't
like
work,
you're.
so I wouldn't know.
Okay, well, but I mean, Zoom is a professional like business software, and those shows have the same feeling to them because of that.
Right.
Where it's like you laugh out of courtesy of like
right.
You
don't know what's honest.
I'll give you a laugh.
Like, there's like a thing like when you hit a punch like in a crowd and the joke doesn't go over great, but with one person like they loved it,
right.
And they're like looking away, they're like shaking, like looking away,
trying not to laugh,
right, or just trying not to laugh as much as they're laughing, as much as they like are compelled to laugh or whatever.
Right.
It's like that's such an immediacy that you can't.
Yeah, and it's the timing.
Reproduce.
As we know, timing is
awful.
Everything in comedy. So having lag, forget about it. It's not.
Yeah, I remember watching. I think we watched, or maybe Wayne put it on, where it was like in the early days of the lockdown, where Stephen Colbert was doing his monologue from his bathtub.
He's still doing
or whatever.
that. Yeah,
he's still doing that. Yeah, the timing is so atrocious. Where you just go, "Wow, you never did stand up." Because
how much do the networks love Corona? This motherfucker's doing this show in his house. We still selling ads, right?
Yeah.
No crew. No, like this is a fucking.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
it's like how much do they love? The networks have to love. Trevor Noah sitting in a fucking garage.
What a weird coincidence that they're saving a shitload of money, and yet they won't shut the fuck up about how dangerous the virus is. What a weird, what a weird coincidence that is. They're, like they, but I didn't just realize this like just now that Stephen Colbert is from improv.
Yes,
and that is why he is a sack of shit. That just
never occurred to me, but
because he goes yes and they go there's a virus. He goes yes and
he goes, well they're like
of course there's a virus. Yeah, what else?
I feel so let down.
They're like we need you to promote the like Raytheon and fucking arms manufacturers.
He was so gangster in the Colbert Report.
I know
the Colbert Report was so well written. His writers, God bless them, just massive, just rapiers. Taking people down. And so I was so excited. Oh, he's going to take over. And I couldn't believe after about first month, I just stopped watching. I was like,
I've never been more disappointed in anything in my life.
Oh, you're not anything.
It makes you wonder when...
I thought you spoke truth to power no matter who it was. You know,
you work for fucking CBS and like get that CBS money.
That's a shame.
I don't know if it was always that way. I mean, when you watch Carson was not political. Letterman was a little bit political.
We should at some point we should have like a funeral for Stephen Colbert, just like the tragedy of. Did you ever watch like Kids in the Hall or not Kids in the Hall? Strangers with Candy. It was.
I remember when people were
transcendent.
Remember when people were confused if Colbert was real or not, and I was like, "Didn't you guys have Comedy Central growing up?"
Yeah, didn't you?
He's an actor.
Yeah, he's a silly goose.
Not real at all. I knew who Colbert was from day one. He's the Strangers with Candy guy.
But that show was so fucking good, and he was so good in it. And to see it, I think we should have a funeral of some kind, like just to like.
But also, I am.
But we could have had a funeral for the Daily Show because the Daily Show had a purpose at one point.
Daily Show was like. I used to come home every night from work, take a Vicodin, eat my dinner to the Daily Show. That was my routine.
Yeah, and that says something because not even a Vicodin can make the
Trevor Noah funny.
Exactly.
Well, the first thing I knew about Trevor Noah was
almost OD'd on Vicodin trying to make the Daily Show funny.
I remember
so many overdoses.
There was all the
stink
around him and Russell Peters. I remember Russell Peters just dogging him, and before I even knew who he was, it's like, oh, that's the thief guy. I didn't know anything about him. Didn't he steal Russell Peters? And you hear the story, it's like, That's one of those jokes. I don't think he stole it. I don't know.
But really, the entire like OxyContin epidemic could be traced back to people trying to enjoy the Daily Show after Trevor Noah took over.
Doesn't hurt.
Like all those people in Appalachia, they were just really big Daily Show fans. They were like, "It's me. It's not him. It's the I haven't found the cocktail that makes."
Yeah, I was a big John Oliver fan after that. Religiously watched that shit, and then they do these reports on things that you don't know shit about. I don't know what's going on in Rwanda. I'm taking your word for it. Then he got to a whole episode about internet poker, a thing I'm very qualified to be an expert on, and the inaccuracies and the horse shit and the spin and the nonsense. Yeah. I was like, are you doing this on the things I don't know about?
Well, it's that thing
and that's I love John. Like I thought he is a very good comic.
Hilarious,
dude. But then you realize you're like, oh, you're using your power for evil.
When John Oliver hosted the Daily Show and Anthony Weiner was going by Carlos Danger.
Yeah.
And he would play that Danger song.
Yeah.
Literally, I still laugh to this day. I'll hear that song. It's like I'll die laughing thinking of Carlos Danger and John Oliver.
This is why would you take that like skill and use it to defend the worst parts of our society? Or
I don't know. Man.
They have no independent idea of what they're doing. I mean, they don't really have a purpose. They just set out. They're kind of aimless. But it's that thing. What I was going to say is that thing about irony. Like David Foster Wallace had this thing about if the problem with irony is it eventually just becomes the thing you're mocking.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what late night TV, these like mock news shows have just become the actual news.
That's a good point. Yeah. Foster Wallace was David. What was the what do we keep calling him?
We change his name every episode.
God damn it! I can't believe we didn't do that this time. I'm pissed that we fucking said his name right.
David Franklin Williams had this great quote.
David Ibi Dubois.
Yeah.
The famed
but that's what it is. I mean, this was supposed to be. It was supposed to be satire, and now people actually do get their news from watching the supposed comedy news. That's where they get their news. It's supposedly
they believe it
satire.
to be true. They believe. Yeah. It's like. Why would you think that a guy who was the head writer of SNL did his due diligence to figure out whether or not this was bullshit? Like what in your mind would lead you to believe that? That's crazy.
Yeah, the comedian should not be taken seriously in that context. Like it's almost like trying to do like what Carlin did on a nightly basis. Like how are you going to give the like social critique every night of the week?
Do you ever read Marshall McLuhan?
No, but I'm well versed on him. Yes, the sexual genitalia technology. That was one.
No. Okay, yeah, that was
yeah.
That
was a DMT after we'll get into the DMT experiences, but after my DMT thing I did, this big whole
experiment,
I came out on the other side when I heard Marshall McLuhan's quote that fucking human beings are the genitalia of technology. We are. Yeah. Why do we exist? To create the next thing.
Oh, so
I believe that to my bone.
Terrence McKenna thought that we were the genitalia of mushrooms. That mushrooms invented us to plant them different places.
It is weird. Why does something do that to us? Why do chemicals do that to us? That's just the fact that they do that. It's like, why do we have profound experiences that melt our perception? Like every sense of reality we have is completely dismantled joyfully. Why does that?
Not always joyfully.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
You hope it's joyfully. Yeah. I don't know about
and
you.
We don't have to.
You had some good DMT.
We don't got to rush into tripping yet, but I am transitioning.
Okay.
I don't find DMT that joyful. Mushrooms are joyful. DMT is not joyful.
So like what Marshall McLuhan was saying, like he wrote a book called the book is weirdly called The Medium is the Massage because it was a misprint and they just never fixed it.
That's funny.
But he was saying like the medium is the message, like the way you consume content, the actual the pathway that you that is actually more important than the content of the thing. That's what I was saying about like with whatever Colbert or Oliver or Noah is that like look at the vehicle through which they're doing this. It's like, aren't they owned by like GE or Disney or Viacom or whatever the fuck, and don't all those companies have ties to the military industrial complex or the prison industrial complex? And it's like, it's weird that they never have a critique for those
when
things.
you talk about that sort of
But it's
stuff.
not weird.
It's like it's like a pre-established kind of meme thing. It's like industrial complex. It's like when you say this, they kind of line up. I take that quote. I said that quote many times, talking about that book, but I used it in the to equate it to dudes and picking up pussy, because I said the medium is the message. Isn't it interesting that in 2006, Facebook was a fucking dating site? I got laid several times through Facebook. My move was I'd poke a girl. She'd poke me back, and then I'd send her a message that said, "Don't fucking poke me," and it worked every fucking time.
That's fucking great.
And then, but if you tried
what was poking?
If you, I know, right?
It was the most
ridiculous
fucking dating
because
thing.
they knew it was like it. That's what it was for. It was
right.
Poke, But try to cold message a girl on Facebook today and see if she'll meet you and have. It's unlikely.
It's the same thing, like with like
Snapchat
with like.
Find me in your DMs.
Is tell her that you're a Soylent distributor, and that you have
and she's gonna
you
go,
have
"You
some excess,
soiled
and you'll
yourself?"
give it to her for under the price it's supposed to be, and that if she'll
always I start with lead with the
I do
pyramid
mix
scheme that
whatever multi-tier marketing. Whatever the fuck.
If you tell her about your pyramid scheme, if she's acts uninterested, call her a bitch. That's. But it's the same thing with like VCRs and shit. Like
fucking. By the way, Tinder has gotten to the point that you're talking about now.
It's almost
Tinder
over.
is like
almost over.
Wasteland.
There's
now.
It's the next thing. You have to.
Yeah, it's got to be the new thing.
Sexuality. It's like, hey, you have to go to the naughty play. This always fascinated me with the internet. The internet is the same room, just painted different colors, and we treat it different. It is images, videos, and text.
Right.
And colored images. And it's like, this one's called email. This one's Facebook.
Tinder's
this
done.
one's
By the way,
Tinder.
the replacement.
It's all
the replacement
the same room.
The replacement.
And it's so. I think that's why hotels are all colored the same, because if every floor had a different color, people would wander. I think that. I think.
Oh no!
People are fascinated by different colors. This one's called this.
Cool. It's like the hostel.
I actually have stayed at hotels where each floor is a different color.
And you want to wander?
Architecture?
Do you have the impulse?
I was busy, but I remember there's one the fucking actually the that Wendy Curtis her family, the Curtis Hotel, has different color every floor.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
And there's like a different theme every floor. It's actually kind of cool. There's like you go to one that's like this is the Caribbean floor.
Huh. Wow. Did not know that Wendy was the Curtis behind Curtis.
So I've heard. Yeah, Curtis Street and Curtis.
Maybe. Interesting.
It's a family dynasty.
All I know about Wendy, I learned from the podcast. Her and Rick's podcast.
Yeah, I actually don't know much about it. All it's hearsay.
Sorry to go back. The replacement for Tinder, I think, is OnlyFans. Like, instead of having a girlfriend, instead of going through all that rigmarole, it's like pay a girl and then like in your head somewhere pretend that you're in a long distance relationship.
TikTok DMs too.
TikTok, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, TikTok's fucking like I remember downloading that app and I was like for the first like several weeks I was like, this is dumb as shit. I hate this. And now I'm just like, I watch it all the time. Like.
Yeah. It's the only fair social media.
I don't understand it because I liked Vine so much, and it just never took off. I was like, "Fucking, this is great."
But Vine did, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Well, for a minute,
it did.
But
It
it's
just
not
got bought.
The company fell apart. Yeah,
is that what it was?
Bought it, I think.
What's that?
But how different is TikTok than Vine?
But then they killed it.
Yeah.
They didn't like let Vine keep being a thing, which is like Facebook bought Instagram, but they let Instagram continue to be Instagram.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
But yeah, I think
we need a new internet at this point. I mean, this internet is terrible now.
Isn't it weird that the government invented the internet, sat on it for half a century, then released it once it was alpha tested? It was so cool. Like, I had a joke where it's like, can you believe, like, we went from like the Wright brothers to space travel in 50 years. We went from the iPhone to the end of civilization in 20 years.
Dude, it's actually like kind of a defense of like government secrecy, where you're like, yeah, the internet has kind of like, it's dangerous. Like, not a lot of people should be on, like, people just shouldn't be able to have
Here's
access
why I'm a
to
conspiracy
it in a
theorist.
way.
I became a conspiracy theorist for the first time in my life 2 months ago when we're in the middle of election season. And I remember sitting there stoned as fuck thinking, like, as I was coming up, I'm the first millennial. I'm the gap between X and millennial.
What year were you born?
84.
Oh, okay, shit, yeah.
Wow, you really had to think.
And so I get their mentality. I get how these millennial things. I was raised Rage Against the Machine, Township Rebellion. I remember sitting there during the riots like, Township Rebellion. That takes on a new context now. You guys were serious. I didn't know you all were serious. I thought we were just like talking, but no, y'all. Now we're living all that shit. That's kind of crazy.
Dude, there's been a weird thing on like TikTok, but social media, like, in general, where people are like, these conservatives listening, whatever, Paul Ryan listened to Rage Against the Machine, they don't even listen to lyrics. It's like, dude, you realize that most people don't listen to lyrics to songs? Like,
I can't hear them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Most people can't. But, dude, Tom Morello is friends with Ted Nugent. You understand that?
Right.
Like, they don't take this shit seriously.
Yeah.
You need to stop. Like, you're taking childish things. Like,
Some of them do
communism.
take it seriously.
Did you ever hear on
Some
audio?
of them do. Like, Roger Waters took himself very seriously, his politics and all that. And to the point of not talking.
But if you can look up, dude, like, I remember watching The Wall, like, live, like, at the Pepsi Center, and there's, like, it was, like, an insane production. It was great. I was high as fuck. There's like planes flying over you and they're dropping bombs, but instead of bombs, it's just like crosses and like the like Muslim moon star thing and but in the like the Shell oil logo and shit is like dropping on, and you're like, dude, if anybody doesn't see how ridiculous this is, like, yes, he is making good points, but also like Roger Waters, like, as much as I love Roger Waters, but I'm like, you could see that he's an old retard, right? Like, you. This should be obvious to you. Like, you shouldn't be tricked by his propaganda,
But you weren't. I mean, listen to anybody's just laughable to me. You're listening to people. What the fuck is wrong with
grow
you?
up. Grow up.
Who listens?
It is a childish thing to do because you're looking for role models.
Yeah, it's one thing to have.
It's not
insight.
an adult. Like, it's weird to see adults still doing that.
Yeah, I think that's how I became a conspiracy theorist. Is that here's this generation. The internet comes up and there's this movement of like realization that like, why do we need representatives? Like, we have the internet. Why isn't voting online? Do you like all this shit? It's like, here's this generation finally posed and has the moral will to get it done, like to dismantle the whole system.
Yeah.
And then over the last 5 to 10 years, we went from the seeds of that growing to the most on the party line.
Yeah.
Most people voted ever. How did we go from like, oh, we could dismantle the system to the most toe the line election in history? That's too clean.
It's good propaganda, I think is what it is.
Yeah. How the fuck? Straight lines don't exist in nature, Jack. And you went on a straight line from let's dismantle it to fucking Joe Biden will save us. The guy who wrote the crack cocaine laws. Loves black people,
Fucking
Like,
well, the
crazy.
Jew lizards had been planning those straight lines for a long time.
And then
apparently.
Epstein, and then also it's like, oh, you guys.
But you know what's interesting about what you said? Like,
but then their whole
I remember learning about direct democracy versus representative democracy.
It's
like the
baffling.
Greeks, apart from the slaves and the women and the fucking whatever,
Whatever.
they could all
Whatever that guy.
cast votes directly for whatever issue. So we have a bill. Every citizen who, white man, votes.
Greek.
We could do that with the internet. We could have a direct democracy. I remember in school they were like, direct democracy was cool, but now we've got too many people. We've got too many.
I
No,
think
we could
honestly
do it.
what we need
could
is like
do direct democracy.
I think I've been thinking about this for a while. Is like I think what the best system that we could figure out would be to have like a kind of absurdly incompetent fascist regime that's so incompetent. So they're only, it's like we have what appears to be a totalitarian system, but in no way is like it's just completely unable to do its job
because it's so
just we've gotten so dumb, or there's so many competing bureaucracies that it rendered that
it's so ineffective that it's not even totalitarian.
It's only effective if you believe in it.
Right.
That's what I think is kind of the perfect system.
That's what's going on right now.
I think I just reinvented religion, but
religion,
that's also fascinating.
Communism,
to me.
and the World Health Organization.
Along with this, man, these ideas of like this postmodern philosophy. Like, you know, I grew up like not knowing that. Oh, my whole identity is based on those ideas. Didn't really even realize it until they became more popular, and then I saw like a mirror. Ooh, I don't like the look of a lot of this actually. And that's the other one is fucking what did you just say? The fucking damn it.
Like religion? Fascism?
Oh yeah, so here's a group of kids coming up. It's like I always wondered what would a society without religion look like? It'd be a utopia, right? And so here this generation
Right,
comes
we were
up.
all-
They just invent their own religion and do it dogmatically.
Fucking A.
White people have original sin. Twitter is the Bible.
Yeah, veganism is
It's like, you guys, it's literally a religion. You
have
put
their own-
zero thought
Dude, that's why
into it.
I think people should pick a religion and just do it badly. This is like, once again, it's like, dude, make a government, but just make it an incompetent kind of thing that we should kind of move towards an aesthetic where and this the
government is for losers.
The main reason I like
anyone
Trump
who
is because
subscribes to it, anyone who watches the news, is just a fucking loser.
Donald Trump was the first bridge between politics and its logical conclusion, which is kayfabe, like professional wrestling kayfabe. These are it's
reality
fables.
TV.
It's soap opera shit. And the more we can like. There is a degree where we should like kind of let people. We should dismantle we should get to a place where the people that are like, I have an idea for how we should govern society. Let me plug it into this system and be satisfied just by like voicing an opinion or something like that. And then nothing happens. The policy doesn't go through. And we can all live our lives happily without a fucking busybody, like trying to like.
This is what we should do.
Crack more illegal or whatever.
Anyone
the fuck
who
they
wants
do.
to be a politician, anyone who wants to be a leader, you give them a VR headset and you go, all right, you're a leader.
This is exactly what I'm saying.
Plug them into some virtual community they can govern.
Absolutely.
They'll be satisfied, and then the rest of us can go about our lives.
Yeah,
if society in VR turns out good, then we'll consider you.
But
and maybe you can run the real.
As it happens, they're doing the opposite, which is they want all of us to plug into some virtual reality while they run the actual.
Yeah, it's like when you want to fuck a girl and she doesn't want to fuck, so she just gives you a hand job. That's how we should be treating like kind of polite society. Is like, let me give you something that will that will keep you. That make you shut the fuck up.
And
like,
also how important the facade is. You grew up thinking like, fucking this horse shit, fucking, why you gotta do that? Motherfuckers talking about the weather. Well, it's hot outside. You make fun of that. And then when you really think about it, it's like, oh, this is like a pinging ritual between two deadly humans who could kill each other, lost in a weird wilderness called Earth. So we walk up, we ping each other with commonalities. Since we don't know each other,
that's
our
right.
only commonality is the weather. So it's like we ping each other. It's like, I'm willing to coexist with you. And then you go, it sure is hot. And you go ping. And now we can go on with business and feel comfortable. It's a very important ritual. This is my thing about millennials changing the world.
Well, that's what Zuckerberg turned into poking.
Like, these old rituals didn't come from nowhere. They didn't come from nowhere.
You don't understand. Like, my point about like, okay, let's do the thing you want to do. Like, whatever the Twitter thing is. Like, it's like, would you instinctively have known that if we killed all the bees, the whole system collapsed? Would you have known that?
How?
I wouldn't have known that.
How could you have guessed that?
So what happens, hypothetically, let's get rid of all the racists. I don't know what happens, man.
Fucking exactly.
Do we collapse? I know I'm not getting my oil changed if we get rid of the racists.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. God damn it. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, no, dude.
Yeah, those fucking grease monkeys.
Yeah, grease monkeys out of business.
Those fucking grease monkeys.
Who's going to run Grease Monkey? Grease Monkeys? No.
You're going to have to tweet about how to change brake rotors, millennials.
No, they're that's this like
okay. So let's take it another step.
tactic.
Let's take another step. What happens if we get rid of all the rapists?
Well, you aren't.
No, there'll be no
anymore.
more beauty
no more
pageants.
Alan Bromwell.
Yeah, my comedy career's gone.
See, now can we not just tease each other, knowing that like that may have been?
No, we can't because we're adults.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, let's not forget.
So, but this is
like,
the experiment we're doing right now. We're all appalled by pedophilia. So we're all going to be like, well, let's kill all the pedophiles or get rid of all. What if we get rid of pedophilia? Maybe.
No,
like
Joe Biden.
I had a joke about this. The best philosophy we ever had was born of pedophilia.
It's unfortunate, but true.
The height of human intellect was also the height of pedophilia.
Yeah, Greeks.
Was that a coincidence?
Yeah,
Maybe. I don't know.
Isn't it weird?
But there's no philosophers anymore, and I don't know. Maybe if they
it's
let
almost
some
as
of
if
these
the smarter
kids
you
in
get,
that fucking Epstein cave.
The smarter you get, the more you want to fuck kids.
Well, you start to realize that like all boundaries are nonsense, and we're all gonna die on a rock, and who fucking gives a fuck about anything?
Yeah,
and maybe that's not. We shouldn't be. I tell you one thing, my story about tripping all the time and going deep, at the end of it, I was like, I don't want it anymore. I didn't ask for these thoughts, man. I want out.
Right. Yeah.
Knowing that like we're all just energy manifested, man, and time is static, crystallized. Doesn't help me.
Doesn't help me. It doesn't help me.
Just fucking don't want to do it anymore.
It just gets me kicked out of parties.
Don't like it. Yep. I just the more certain I become in the fundamental nature of reality, the more insane all my people around me think I am. So it's just lose.
Right. But that's how you know you're onto it. Yeah. I think that's how you know you're onto it.
Yeah.
But we can,
if you said the truth and anyone believed you.
Exactly. Right.
But we can
that's true.
We can have almost a civilized like break with the people, like the people that like wanted whatever, like cancer people or whatever. It's like, fine, let's just kind of undermine them and move on with our lives as adults. Like that's, I don't want to interact with people that are gonna get freaked out over a slur or whatever. Like everybody, if I was with somebody that I said a slur and they were like, "Fuck yeah, fuck this fucking Mexican," do you know what I mean? I'd be like, "That's insane."
Exactly.
The reason I like slurs is because like I've luckily in my life surrounded myself with such nice people, such loving, like kind of transcendently loving people that when I say like nigger or faggot, they're like, they laugh because they're like, it's hilarious. Like what we're doing. They're still laughing at the idea of racism. And
I used to actually have a buddy, this autistic kid, who every time I misgendered somebody, he'd give me a piece of candy. He was trying to reinforce my behavior.
On an unrelated subject, Alan, it's time for your insulin shot.
Thank you.
Thank you, miss. Get your vitamins.
You got diabetes from all your misgendering, was my point, the candy.
You came here because you're unhealthy.
No, I know. That's one of the funniest jokes you've made tonight, you sweet woman.
The finale of this podcast should just be us like doing the Ludovico technique on Alan. We just pry his eyes open and make him watch murder and shit.
I always fucking love that scene.
That's fucking great, man.
That movie's
that's such
a bad
wonderful,
movie's
dark
amazing.
fantasy.
Yeah, literally, that movie gives me like bad trip. I look back and think upon it. It's like, oof. It's good, but ooh, brutal.
I used to go to sleep to that when I was like
Kubrick
16.
was so good. Full Metal Jacket's the same way, man.
Dude, he's so good.
That final scene of fucking Full Metal Jacket where he shoots the Vietnamese lady. It's like hardcore, man. It's just like, this is dirty. The sound. It's just the atmosphere.
Yeah. He was amazing, man. His dedication, I forget who the fuck it was. Somebody was telling a story about, it might have been during The Shining or like pre-production for The Shining. They're driving around the mountains and they said Kubrick was driving and he's like pointing to fucking shit. Rolls a car.
Drove off a cliff.
And then just gets out of the car and he's like, and then this part over here, I want to get like a shot of that. Like the man was unfit. He was fucking dedicated to that art. And that's why he like made like, was it 2001 bombed like a motherfucker and they gave him no money to do A Clockwork Orange and it's still phenomenal. Like it's
the amount of hard work. I was thinking about that like a guy like me my friends back home, they look at me and they go, my God, you're out there grinding. And I look at like maybe a Joe Rogan and go, that guy's out there grinding. And then Rogan looks at Elon Musk and goes, Jesus Christ, you're out there grinding. I could never. It's like, dude, the amount of like wasted resources, your average human. It's like, dude, you could like do anything. The whole earth could be repolished in months if we all just got off your Netflix. You ran out of things to watch on Netflix. Well, then pick up a broom, asshole.
But meanwhile, Elon Musk is looking at a calculator like this motherfucker.
Right. He's looking at Isaac Newton going, I'll never live up to that. You know?
Newton, so there's this weird thing. Newton was either asexual or...
He loved women, and then he swore them off because he realized they were detrimental to his work. And he became essentially asexual and never fucked again and invented calculus.
Didn't he say that was he was like that was what he was proud of? Yeah, no, celibacy?
I'm obsessed with Newton.
He stole calculus from Leibniz.
Well, there was
Let's not get into this.
There was a lot of collaboration. There was collaboration. Come on.
Dude, Alan has a skill he like knows no matter everybody has a thing that you could start an argument with them about. And Alan just knows this on like another level. He's like, I could start an argument with this guy. Right. I know how to trigger people.
I'm too fair. I immediately go, no, I recognize that there was, and I get that. And I'm Spock.
So by the way, when you were in this perpetual state of reality as a crystal fractal,
oh boy,
you were doing DMT or what was getting you there?
Well, so me and my friend discovered DMT, like came into our world before Rogan, before people knew what it was. The craziest dude I ever met, and I don't mean like crazy bad. I mean just like you are no one's like this guy. Yeah. And he's like, I got this crazy drug, man. And I was like, pass, no. And then my buddy, who was like a Army Ranger, Iraq vet, crazy, just like I worked at an ice rink, and we drove a Zamboni. And his first day, he took the Zamboni manual home. It's about 9 inches thick, and he just read it over a weekend, and then could service the whole machine. Like, I worked there a decade. I never fucking changed a bolt on that. We got a guy. What are you doing? Yeah. So he's just that kind of guy. He was just like, yeah, I'll smoke it. Calls me up like 30 minutes later. He's like, hey, dude, Nathan's on his way over to your house. Smoke the DMT. Yeah. And I was like, if you vouch for it, I'm in. And it set on path just like, and so right after that, I ordered mushroom spores. And I got on a path. I was like, I want to grow as potent of mushrooms as is like feasibly possible. And I was successful. And once again, I would say the gypsy's curse is getting exactly what you want. And I wanted DMT, the most potent DMT and the most potent mushrooms. Oh, and I got them. And it fucking shit spun out. Yeah, things got out of control. So I was doing a lot of mushrooms, and we smoked DMT once a week, every week for about 1.5 years. It was like a ritual. We had a salt shaker full of DMT, pure as anything you could ever get. We made it ourselves. After the war, he cashed in his GI Bill, went to Iowa State University for engineering. Halfway through chemistry, he's like, bro, pretty sure I can synthesize it. So we started like, this friend would get us fucking this chemical, and this guy would get us this, and my wife got us mimosa.
You're talking about building communities, is what you're talking about.
Exactly.
You're talking about building communities. This is how communities get built.
Exactly. My wife's a great gal. Ordered fucking legal mimosa hostilis root bark from Canada. And it's like, here's your bag. Here's your pound bag of pink powder.
That's a woman. That's a real woman.
Great kid. That's great kid. Doesn't do drugs. Supports my drug use.
That's wonderful. What a lucky motherfucker.
You used to be able to get mimosa hostilis root bark, sodium hydroxide, and whatever solvents you needed on Amazon. And they were in the frequently bought together. Are you also looking for sodium hydroxide? And you'd just be like, hilarious. Shit. Would you also like a Bunsen burner? Yeah, and then you get everything you need.
We had all the pieces we needed.
Would you also like a Spangle CD?
Exactly. We had all the pieces we needed, but we lived in meth country. So lye was a controlled substance. That's used in meth. So we couldn't find lye. And then we read an article, some tripping post is like, do you have a Lowe's in your town? It's like, wonderful. We do. And they're like, if you go in there, it's like a wink, wink, nod, nod thing, but it's like, it's fucking 99.9% lie, bro. And we go in there, we search through. It's like, oh, there it is.
That's right.
And it so happened that it was his wife was going to Italy for whatever.
It used to be like before Drano, they would use that to clean
exactly,
drains.
yeah. And so on Valentine's Day 2012 at 4 a.m, he started the process, and it was finished at 7 p.m. that night. So on Valentine's Day, fucking 2012, we call it St. Valentine's Day Massacre. We smoked as much, like we smoked probably 3 hits every 10 minutes for like 5 hours. Went fucking deep, just uncomfortable. And then and we did that. So we had this salt shaker full of DMT. That
statement was so pure coming out of your mouth.
And we're like, we're not going to tell anybody about it. This is me and you's thing. We're going to meet once a week.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. We'll fucking talk after. And then
it's called science.
And we did it. And holy shit. So the coincidence is what got spooky. Like I couldn't deal with the coincidences.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, it's like nature screaming at me. It's like, hey, dummy. Like it's all like cogs and we're screaming at you to see it. And I'm like, I don't want to.
When you say what were the synchronicities, what was the shit popping up?
Oh man,
that bothered you?
There's just so many. It's like it's hard to even like. How do you wade into it? Like from big ones, like like I said about like experience, like later, like having these weird, almost like psychic impulses that like are confirmed. It's like, dude, it's like, yeah, it's like weird things where it's like I don't believe in that. This is the biggest thing. I don't believe in it. So the fact that it's like it's so in my DNA screaming like, no, like all of the world's religions are pointing to what we're dealing with right now. It's like you immediately look at Buddhism and go, oh, we're all, my problem was I called it the fire triangle, right? If it's just old Grambo smoking some drugs and going crazy, great. We'll explain it away as hallucinations. My problem was like everything that the DMT is saying. It's like you got to have oxygen, a fuel source, and a spark. Mine was Eastern philosophy, Western science, and DMT. It's like, why is quantum mechanics, Taoism, and DMT all the same fucking coin, man? It's literally the same. We are energy condensed. You and I are the same thing. It's like we're all one. Time is not real. It's a shared
So let me ask you this, because maybe you have a better answer than I do. Why did we decide to individuate? Like we were at one point, we were one. Why did the one become many?
I think it's the Greeks. The Greeks nailed it. It's the Greek story. Why did the gods? Why did the gods invent man? Because they were bored.
I think it's boredom. Well, like you
so by one the way, became many because there's bored.
We're perfection. What a better way, rather than being God, wouldn't it be better to live as 7 billion flawed humans at once playing a game? We are all of each other. That's
Absolutely.
why. That's
by
why.
the way, we're getting close to the fucking. That's how you know we're getting close to the end. Is now we're talking about it. It's like, shh.
Right.
This is why I love the Amish, because the Amish are right. They're like, come on, we did this for a reason.
Right.
Quit fucking
fuck
around.
A horse. Don't tell anybody.
Fuck a horse. Don't tell anybody. That's
Ted Kaczynski. They gave him all that ass and he saw the future. And he's like, I got to do something.
But you're the only.
I got to stop technology.
Yeah, we talk about Kaczynski all the time. We should.
I got to do something.
We're gonna open this podcast with a Kaczynski reading.
He was right.
He's the most right anybody's ever been.
He was the only smart one.
But like, you're the only person I think I've ever met that. Like got to a point with psychedelics where you're like, I don't want any more information. I don't need any more data.
Because I was also going hard on the philosophy side. I was like, as I'm discovering it, the internet's becoming 2012. It's like, it's flowering. I'm going deep. Terrence McKenna.
Right.
Let me learn everything. What'd he die of? Hope nothing weird. Brain tumor? Oh no.
Oh, shaped like a mushroom?
Tumor.
Weird.
Oh no. I literally Googled him and I was like, please nothing weird. Please nothing weird. Brain tumor? Fuck me, man. Not that too.
He lived a decently long life, though.
But it had to be a break. Couldn't have been a car accident. It's like, I didn't want it to be weird.
Everybody dies of something.
But dude, I remember
everyone dies of something. We have these
his
arguments.
was just his brain turning against him.
Well, years ago we had
but you have these arguments. You go, would you rather
his own cells
drown?
fucking
Would you rather drown? Would you rather be eaten by a bear? Would you rather be burned alive? Would you rather be shot?
He took much psychedelics and started to see into the fabric of time that his own cells fucking suicided him. That's like nature's defense. Like, and it came for the brain first, baby. Let's attack him. Shut up. Culture is your friend, dummy. Shut up.
Yeah, right. Years ago, dude,
I don't mean to keep tapping you like it's some
that's
sort
right.
of gay airport.
Years ago, there was a bunch of people living in this building. I lived in a different apartment in this building. He still lived here, and then we had like a couple other dudes in apartments that we would hang out and do drugs with. It was a great time. But one time, and I worked for the building for a while, so I got copies to the keys, and so I had access to the roof. And I remember we were all on acid, like wandering around the building, and then we went up on the roof. And I remember my buddy, he was a great dude, lovely human being, but he was like very like he was like let's like get a high on acid and look at the stars. And then to the side of me, my buddy was like talking to me about like Robert Anton Wilson, like weird esoteric, like how to like consciousness and shit. And I was like, I'm gonna go listen to him because I'm trying to figure, like, I'm interested in this. Mm-hmm. And I do really think like it's like to people that take psychedelics and don't have any understanding of philosophy at all.
It's better.
It's
better.
They're
Good
living,
on you.
They're living way better lives.
Enjoy it.
I kind of agree
Have
with that.
blast.
Enjoy it.
I
don't want to tell them about it. I'm like, don't eat the apple. We're fine.
See me, I'm like, I'm ahead of the game. I'm going to solve philosophy, y'all. I'm going to be the next prophet.
That's right.
I swear I wasn't thinking that. But by the end, I was like, I know what happens when you die. It's like, I get it. And I'm also pretty sure I'm immortal.
Psychedelics will teach you relativity immediately.
I'm immortal, if not, but for entropy. My energy will wane someday, but me, the entity, is immortal. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, but there's entropy, but there's also, God damn it, and this was Robert Anton Wilson too, but the opposite of entropy.
It always goes back.
It always comes back to Robert Anton Wilson, but there's the opposite of novelty. There's entropy and novelty. But anyway, Robert Anton Wilson called it something different.
Novelty was
Terrence.
McKenna.
Yeah, that was McKenna. There was another word for it. There's a couple, but there's a yin yang to entropy. There's another force that is constantly
novelty.
Novelty
is as good a word as any.
Exactly. Whatever it is.
They think of it in science as like the cold pockets that form in between the chaos. Naturally, pockets of
by the way, like
stability will form inside the chaos, and if you live in that, you feel like that's the world.
This is what we were talking about on the drive when we were going to park your car. Is like you were talking about like a person that was here is not here, and a person that wasn't here is here now, and it's like the tragedy matches the joy in some weird way. It's like there is some weird as above, so below. Like there is that weird dynamic embedded in the matrix.
Yeah, for what he's talking about, I lost my mom. Me and my mom were super close to the point where like I'm from Iowa, and when I moved here, she got divorced, and her mom died 2 months before I moved here. I'm like, well, I got a house in Denver. Just come live with me. Yeah. So I like took her there. So we were like closer than even fathomable. And then I had a kid, and my mom died of lung cancer about 2 weeks after. We were in the same hospital. After the kid was born, we were on floor 5. I got on the elevator, went to floor 12, went to my mom's room, said, hey, it's a girl. She's healthy. I love you. I got to get back downstairs. Yeah. And then she died just after. And I had this experience of like true in like being soaked in the reality of life and death. It's like there was not a person. My daughter was not, and now she is. And my mom was, and she is not. And in the course of 2 weeks, and just not as it was the most psychedelic, non-psychedelic experience.
When you were talking about that, dude,
death is so psychedelic.
I've had these conversations with people, and I'm always fucking nervous to say it's a psychedelic experience. And I was so glad when I was like, yeah, that's a psychedelic experience. And you were like, absolutely. I was like, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. This is.
I've already gone so much over it. It's literally fractals. When you learn about fractals might be the most fucked up thing that's ever existed
Yeah.
ever. It just goes forever, baby.
Yeah, and loops
and everything's the same thing, just different patterns of the same thing, redigested. And if you look from a different place, you might think it's its own thing until you look at it from the whole. And the hole's not even the whole, because there never is a hole. That's life.
There never was.
Death is tripping. Tripping is birth. Birth is existence. And for some reason, we have an ego that tells us, like, funniest thing about the ego.
Now, do you think ego is a fuck up?
So with the ego and drugs, I always found this fascinating. Right as the DMT thing is happening, Vicodin's kind of weaseling its way into my life. You know, it's like, oh, I'm liking these opiates, and I can get them in Iowa.
Oral biosurvival circuit.
Give it to us. And so, like, I found this interesting that, like, at the deep of my Vicodin use and in the depths of my DMT use, I had these two people inside of me. I had like the I hate myself, the Eckhart Tolle fucking I hate myself, who is the I in that sentence, you know. I had these moments of, like, I take Vicodin and my brain is like, man, we fucking shouldn't be doing this, and my body's like, oh, we're doing it. Yeah. And with DMT, exact opposite. My body's like, bro, please don't. And my mind's like, we're doing it, man.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, my body.
That really fucking.
We called it the elephant in the room. We did DMT together ritualistically like 60 times. Every time we would sit down together, we'd put it down, and we'd be like, so how was your week? And we just like, we call it the elephant. Well, should we address the elephant in the room?
That's
like,
hilarious.
And after the first hit, I was scared every time. After the first hit, I go, "You're so stupid." Dude, this is the warm bathtub.
It's my favorite.
It's perfection.
My favorite
every time.
Terrence McKenna quote. My favorite thing Terrence McKenna ever said. I've listened to hours of Terrence McKenna. My favorite thing he ever said is somebody asked him, like, how he does mushrooms, and he goes, "Here's my main thing. I say to the mushrooms, I go, please don't hurt me." that's it. I was like, that's the fucking best thing I've ever. Please don't hurt me.
My favorite thing Terrence McKenna ever said, he goes, threesomes do not work, okay? They don't. But foursomes, that can work.
I love it.
He goes, if you had three women and one man, he's like, there are some insects that do it. You get 3 women, 1 man, that can work. Now, I'm not getting married to a single woman. 3 women. And he described it in kind of like fractal mathematics or whatever, and there were some women who were half amused by it, listening to him. Didn't really buy into it.
You realize, like, things like marriage seem so stupid. Like, why would you do this? Very important to society. I remember my buddy, this dude I'm talking about, he's the natural leader of men. True out, like, when you talk about alpha, not some tattooed UFC. No, like, I would willingly follow this guy into hell. It's like, you
are competent.
You're the real deal. Yeah. And women smelled it. He's not handsome, big, fat, not fat, but just like big, beef, strong, fucking not the pro, but women loved this fucking dude. And it was always fascinating to me that, like, women would, like, dodge their husbands and shit, and knowing they're 3rd, 4th, and 6th, it's like, wow, women more than a couple would rather be 3rd or 5th on his list than number 1 with this.
Well, women are animals.
Don't you understand that, though?
Of course, which is why marriage is so important, because if we didn't have these
fucking right,
it would be half the population would never fuck.
We're not Puritans.
No one's gonna fuck you, you cardigan wearing son of a bitch.
It's called evolution. Get your genes out of the race if they can't fucking.
This is the problem.
Pace, buddy.
The conclusion I've come to is I don't want to be Puritan. I don't want the people I interact with to be Puritan, but I want a Puritan society, like, going on around me.
It's weird.
I just don't. I'm not gonna. You don't have to participate with it. The thing, I think what you're talking about, like, where you're like, we can't have any Puritanism or we can't have any fascism or whatever the fuck. I think that's kind of like childish in a way, where it's like, no, let them play their game separate from whatever I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to.
That's fine. No, it's just the
remake the whole world into your liking.
No, I'm fine. People want to play the Puritan game. You play it as long as you want. It's just that the pagan game is not even a game.
Yeah.
Like, the pagan game
is a game. Anything can become a game.
Is it really? I mean, at music festivals or if you're in a poly community and you're all fucking tripping, but it's not the pagan thing's not really a game anymore.
Unfortunately, everything's been like co-opted and branded and stolen. You can't, nothing pure. It's all branded. It's all, you're fucking.
The pagan thing was a game. I mean, that's what Tim Leary tried to get the pagan game going again.
Right.
You got like a really relaxed nihilism about you. I like, man. I dig it.
Yeah. Oh, it's.
I'm glad we met.
What lessons did I learn after this weird death and life thing?
Yeah.
I said the painful, the scorning, painful beauty of life.
Yeah.
The unfucking,
the peeling layers
the
back.
chasms of joyous pain.
Yeah.
And I keep telling people, my quote after that is, when you die, you'll miss the pain. You're going to miss you're going to miss it
Absolutely.
so profoundly. You're going to miss your judgment.
That's why you come back.
And your self-loathing.
You come back because you miss the pain.
You're going to miss it. You know, it's such a fucking
That's
gift.
why the monks, I mean, that's what it is. If you forget.
The people that have been like reincarnated the most, they're like burning their own fingers off because they're like,
Right.
they know. They're like, I want to remember what pain is like.
That's my problem.
To the highest degree.
This is my last go. I better get a lot of pain in this one.
Any political conversation, no matter how sacred, police, Black lives, government, this and that, no matter how high stakes it is, I go, yeah, but quantum mechanics. Like, the moon is real, and the stars are other suns, and like it goes on forever, and we're just here. We're trapped. Sometimes I feel claustrophobic on the Earth. It's like we're fucking trapped here. It's like there's so like.
It would be amazing.
I'm gonna die.
It would be amazing to
basically
have
the same way somebody died in the 30s. Or like it's it's
nothing
depressing as shit.
In fact, I said if I had enough money, when I die, I want to be shot into space, the deepest vacuum of space, and I want to fly through absolute zero, frozen, and maybe I'll go in uninterrupted for billions of years and outlive the sun consuming the Earth.
He would be such a great CNN correspondent where they're like having a race debate. And then he comes on and he goes, how about all the other stars? They're all actually suns.
You're empty.
Like, well, what about...
You're empty. This is empty.
They're like, we're talking about Breonna Taylor. I'm like, there's 4 to the 70th power other particles in the universe.
You are made of energy condensed. There is no you in the center of you. How do you respond, Senator?
You know, Russell Brand had a moment where he went on TV, he went on MSNBC, and he was like, had that divine thing where he was like Edward Snowden, and he's talking about all this, and he's deconstructing. It was the most postmodern shit where he was deconstructing the whole news cycle while he was on Morning Joe or whatever, and he only was in it for a minute. Russell Brand.
Oh yeah, he's great. Yeah.
He went on TV a couple times and he wasn't even an acid dude. Like he never did psychedelics.
He was a heroin dude.
He was a heroin meth dude.
But heroin is like debodying almost. It's going so deep into the body that you.
And I also think that sobriety, like true, because not many people engage in true sobriety. Right. I think true sobriety is the most potent psychedelic. Sober people are fucking on some shit, man. They're all on another planet.
Alan Watts used to say some shit like that.
If you've never had like a drug
imagine never doing drugs in your life and pretending your whole life that you're a conservative Christian. That's far out.
Yeah, man. It
really is. You're on a trip, dude.
Drugs are like, they're literally just, all drugs are is just a mask for our pain. That's all it is. Please make me not feel
really wish
existence.
that your message was not this weirdly like non-dual shit about how pain is okay. Like I'm
on board for it, but
I wish that like I don't know, my own cosmology is always trying to I'm more Leary, I guess, where I'm always trying to go, why did all the traditions emphasize suffering? Why do they insist? Because it is all just what we think it is. It all is just what we think it is. We've thought for such a long time it must be suffering. It must be it has to be suffering.
I don't know.
It has to be pain. There can't be pleasure without pain. It's got to be suffering. We've said that for so long that we believe that.
What I'm saying, like they're. Sorry.
I mean, look at that. He just pranced out of the bedroom. That wasn't
suffering. And now I'm suffering because of it.
It doesn't have to be suffering.
What you were saying, like, people are going to be begging for
when
suffering.
You're partying, like what Terrence McKenna said, the meaning of life was just a big party. When you're in a party, when you're in the moment, when you're dancing, there's no fucking pain. There's no pain when you're dancing.
Yeah, well, but it's the balance. So the moment, I'll never forget the moment. It was a big day, and I'm over analytical about stuff. Smoked pot since I was 12, and I just sit and think about shit too much. And I remember, I was like, I traced back. It's like, oh, I remember the weekend I got addicted to opiates. I remember the situation. I'd done them for years, never had a problem with them ever. And then,
but you remember that, dude? I remember the moment I got addicted to alcohol. Like, the moment where I was like drinking a whiskey drink, and I was like, oh no! Like it was like where it was. I was like 19 or something, but it like transitioned from like a thing I'm forcing down to a thing where I was like, oh.
See, my buddy comes back from Florida.
I love this.
He goes to a pill mill in Florida, and he comes back with a bottle of Percocet, the 7.5s, the middles. There's 3 strengths. He's got those middles. Ooh, that's that good shit. and so 100 for $100. Whoa! Yeah, I'll take the whole bottle and just get a whole bottle.
Like Tim Allen, if he was.
Yeah, right. And so. And so I fucking so I got these pills, but I have Vicodin. So I'm taking
hilarious, by the way. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but just reimagining Home Improvement, but he's addicted to heroin.
He's falling off the ladder.
The only reason he's fixing shit is because he keeps fucking collapsing into doors and shit.
It would be what Home Improvement would be like if Tim Allen was honest with himself.
Yeah, man, he keeps hitting
that's your real life, Tim.
With a doorknob.
He was a drug addict. That fucking guy.
But he was a coke
guy.
Yeah, he was a coke guy.
But so I taken Vicodin and got it, and I ended up getting the flu. One of the worst I've had like ever. Like it was so fucking bad, and I'd puke my guts out, and I'd just drink water, and I just wait for and so I was like, well, let me crack this bottle of Percocet. And I started like going through these cycles. I'd puke until I couldn't puke anymore. And as soon as I felt okay, I'd take 2 Percocet down with water and smoke a bunch of weed.
This is why your worldview includes so much pain.
I would go from the bottom of the pain, like just flew.
Worst pain.
And I would soar to the highest heights of opium serenity. And the juxtaposition between the pain and the pleasure was the only night that the pleasure ever had meaning. Ever again. It never, I chased that dragon forever till this day.
I can't really argue with that.
Never captured that night again because the pain was the only thing that gave the pleasure meaning.
Like it seems obvious that people will be like, you're gonna miss you're gonna miss laugh. You're gonna miss the taste. Like if you die, you're gonna miss the taste of food. You're gonna miss all these things. But it's like the thing
when
you're gonna
you die,
miss
you're
the
gonna
most.
Miss,
I promise you, it's gonna be pain.
You're gonna miss being put in an Iron Maiden and having a cigarette put out on your eye. You're gonna miss
that level of pain.
You will miss it. I'm saying you will fucking miss it, bro.
See, if this were all true, then why would humanity be progressing toward less pain and more pleasure?
Because humanity is embedded in flesh.
If we really miss it so much, if we miss torture so much,
because it's just like entropy, how the hot and hot and cold. My physics just bias is like, well, actually, there's no such thing as cold. It's an absence of heat. There's no such thing. Cold is a construct by humans. It's like but it's the low pressure system. Pressure goes from high to low. It's the same thing. The universe wants the highest state of consciousness possible. I had this thought one time thinking about the collapse of the wave function. A lot of controversy about this. Hold on. Is it real? Is it not real?
Because I don't think it wants the highest form of it wants the most diverse consciousness.
I don't know.
That's why it's
like it's almost like this weird idea, like
people in third world countries are they're not trying to find drugs to put in their bodies. That's rich people shit. That's what we are.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
We're rich people.
But it factors into my theory about where the sexual or the genitalia for technology. It's like that. Like it explains how the modern youth culture is with this I'll sacrifice. I shouldn't have kids, and I'm bad for being white. It's like this weird. And I was thinking.
No, I agree with all of them.
Protons had to stop being protons to become atoms, and atoms had to stop being individual atoms become molecules, and molecules aren't molecules, they're cells, and cells aren't cells, they're biodiverse creatures. You keep every step in order to evolve to the next phase of development, the whole has to give up their identity as units to become
I don't think that's true.
The atoms must become.
I don't think that's true. The hydrogen atom doesn't know that it's part of the sun.
And this was a big DMT thing, was that if the collapse of the wave function is true, right? like if it's a proton, if it's a particle when we're looking at it, it's a wave when we're not looking at it. If that's true, a lot of debate. I'm not a scientist. Whatever you think, if it's true, that would mean that the wave function could have never collapsed, right? When there was only protons and stuff, it would have it could have never become a particle to become us. It would have stayed in the wave function would have never collapsed, which means that at the base layer of reality must be consciousness, or else the wave function would have never collapsed in the beginning for particles to have collapsed from a wave function of random plum soup, as it's known in the quantum mechanics world. It would have stayed plum soup, but it didn't. It fucking it collapsed. So the base layer of reality must be consciousness. Below atoms must be consciousness. Everything is conscious.
Dude, I think the fucking collapse of the wave function was an inside job, honestly.
Listen, they were. If you've never looked into it, there were people. They were planting explosives
ladies and
on
gentlemen,
the structural
periodic
beams
table of elements
of the time.
Element 7. Yeah.
I was actually reading there's a new school of quantum that says actually the wave function does not.
That's why I said. That's why I prefaced that there's debate over this subject.
Because if it does,
and I'm
collapse,
not prepared to make a statement.
If it does, that's a Western thing. It's a
Western
thing.
I will
that
say
it collapses
it's
when you look at it.
very convenient if it's true. It makes a lot of gobbledygook make sense if it's true. If it's not true, then once again, my whole theory of consciousness is the base layer of reality. It's like, who cares?
Well, I've always liked
McDonald's closes at 12.
They don't serve breakfast all day anymore, and I'm furious about it. I want to get a McGriddle at 6 p.m. and I can't anymore because of this fucking pandemic.
That's why it's so tough. Yeah, I tried to go to Long John Silver's the other day, and they wouldn't let me in without a car, and I was furious.
I gotta listen. I need a double order of hush puppies, or I'm gonna
collapse. Because we were talking about esoteric fucking quantum physics, and then we were like, I could use some fried fish.
Yeah, I'd love a piece of cod, right?
Can I have some extra fried grease? They sell fried grease at Long John Silver's. It's on the menu. They call it crumbs. It's just grease.
For real?
Yeah.
That just broke my heart, dude.
And I ask, instead of coleslaw, can I
You
get
say
extra
some
crumbs?
shit about Long John Silver's, I believe it.
Oh, yeah.
You look like... No, it's not even that. It's just you're the type of person where... And it's really... It's the same thing
Listen,
that
if I tell you something about
got you into
Chick-fil-A...
opiates. It's the same thing that got you into opiates. It's that type of You're talking about collecting the crumbs at the bottom of a fryer. Yes. You're talking about the bottom of
it's
possible
a self-loathing.
It's human emotion.
The
top fucking hurt me, baby.
Possible
Alan, it's called the oral biosurvival circuit. It's the first circuit.
He's a bottom feeder. You're a plecostomus.
That's a rude way to say it.
But through my body.
No, it's not rude. Plecostomus is the fucking...
But it's like how...
It's kind of the alpha.
You know, on asteroids, when you go too low, you end up at the top. That's me, baby. You see, you're looking down. You think I'm down there?
You scumbagged your way to enlightenment?
You're looking all... That's wrapping
fucking
around.
tight, dude.
You're thinking fourth dimensionally, asshole. I'm on the 11th.
Yeah, fucking... All right.
String theory. Come
we
on.
all live in a Mobius strip. Let's move on.
All I'm saying is that if you don't eat Long John Silver's, you don't know shit about string theory.
All right, let's end on that, dude. Hold on. We'll take a break at least. I just want to see. We're at an hour.
Watch it go.
You good?
Let's go get some Taco Bell.